Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about Unwind to Upgrade.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
And today I'm going to talk specifically about 3 benefits of going on vacation as an entrepreneur. And I just got back from Cabo spring break with my wife and kids. And one of the listeners asked me, like, hey, what do you do on vacation? Like, how do you stay committed? How do you continue to do what you've kind of built up? And, they asked me, like, hey, do you do your normal stuff, or what do you actually do on vacation? And so this episode, and what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be dedicated to this. And so maybe you're someone who listens to this. You're an entrepreneur who maybe doesn't go on a lot of vacations, or maybe you do go on them, but when you go on them, you completely fall off the rails. This episode is definitely going to help you. So let's get into today. So I'm going to talk about 3 key points today. How I kind of view vacation, what are specific things that I work on, because I think I think there's 2 things. Number 1, we want to have fun. We want to make sure we enjoy it. But number 2, we also don't want to go so far away from our habits that when we come back, it's almost like we got to start over. And being in the fitness industry for over 20 years, I can't tell you how many times I would see people, work so hard for, 6, 8, 12 weeks before they went on vacation. And then literally in a week, completely unravel all the work that they just did. And then it seemed like they just went back through the process again. So rather than doing that, I want to talk specifically about this. Number 1, I think the most important thing that we can do on vacation is renew our mind, have a renewing in our mindset. What does that mean? That means we're completely changing our environment, resetting our perspective, and we're really able to look at our business and our life in a completely different way. I know for me, sometimes I can maybe be more uptight when I'm at home. We got 3 kids. We have just a bunch of stuff going on. You got school, you got to be to work. You want to get up early. You want to do all these things. It feels like you're just constantly running around. And so the first thing is really just a renewing of my mind. I think one of my favorite things to do is get up early, almost earlier on vacation, and go outside after I finish my workout and, just sit or walk on the beach and just get a renewing of my mind. I think that's one of the healthiest things that we can do. But here's the cool thing is, like, even though I'm doing that, I'm still doing a lot of the things I do in my normal morning routine, except I'm doing them in a different environment. And sometimes changing our environment completely changes our outlook on how we view things, which really gives us a renewing of our mind. The second thing is really, looking as an opportunity to create and innovate. And what I mean by that is that innovation happens when we put ourselves in different environments. We see what other people are doing, and it's like, hey, how can I apply this to my business? Or I think one of the cool things that you see in Mexico is there's an amazing level of customer service at resorts, things like that. And so it's like, hey, how can I innovate and bring some of this stuff into my business? How can I innovate and just teach people how to do things differently, how to be more personable, different things like that. And then there's the creativity of the way they decorate things and the way they present things. It's always kind of a special presentation when they bring things out. It's like, even a basic plate of churros, they would completely dress it up and make it look like this magnificent thing. And so I really believe that when we put ourselves in different environments, when we go on vacation, we have the ability to create and innovate and get new ideas, get new business practices, see how people are doing things and say, hey, how can I actually apply these to my life? So one of the things I love doing is just, I love watching how people engage, they interact, they ask questions, even watching how people communicate. Oftentimes you get around, one of the things I did this time is I kind of went by the area where they do timeshares in the hotel we were staying at. And I just kind of sat back and watched for like 20 minutes, a couple different days. And it was almost like a shark tank where they threw like a raw piece of meat in there and everybody was like going after it. And I just got to sit there for like 15, 20 minutes and just take notes on what they were doing, how they were engaging, how they were interacting. And it was really kind of cool because there's been plenty of times where I've been in the presentation, but this time I got to view it from a different perspective. And that's what helps us create and innovate sometimes, is just seeing other people do things that may not be in the same industry, but it gives us ideas on what we can actually do. Now, the third thing is maintaining and adapting my habits. And this was one of the key things they asked me, is like, hey, do you do your normal routine? I said, actually, I do exactly my normal routine. The difference is I have kind of a B, and C routine. One is ideal. Two, maybe if I have, a busy day going on and I need to move some things around. Three is kind of my vacation weekend routine, which just shifts a little bit. I would say the time and duration maybe condenses down. Instead of maybe normally taking 2.5, 3 hours, it may only take me 2 hours, but I do everything exactly what I do. I even try to get up the same exact time or even a little bit earlier because, this time I had to actually get down and try to save some seats. Luckily, we had somebody else with us that was able to get up earlier than me. But as I would go through my workout, and here's the thing with my habits, I always kind of like get up and get moving first. So the first thing I always do is I want to work out. I kind of search around, is the hotel good enough, or am I going to need to go somewhere else? Most of the hotels are good enough to get a workout in. I make sure I get a sweat. I make sure I get at least 5,000 steps in before I start my day. I make sure I read, I listen to the Bible, I pray, I do all those things. The difference is I just might do it on the beach. I might do it by the pool before there's anybody else down there. I read. I like to write a little bit more when I'm on vacation, so I'll journal and write more and do some of those things. But for the most part, my habits stay pretty much exactly the same. I don't want to deviate a whole lot from it. And so I always want to make sure I'm productive. And then I also try to work as much as I can early for the first few hours so that I can kind of enjoy the day and do some of those things. And then there's usually 1 or 2 days where I won't do any work while I'm on vacation, or at least I won't do any in the middle of the day. And I'll really try to take the day off. Now, the last piece of this, and this is kind of an extra but fun, is making sure that each and every one of my kids gets to do something that they consider fun and what they actually want to do. So my kids this time, 2 of them, the older ones, wanted to go on a ATV tour. And so we made sure we did that. And then my youngest wanted to go horseback riding. I wanted to go to one of my favorite restaurants. And then, my wife just wants pictures on the beach, family stuff and things like that. And, she usually likes going out to a nice restaurant, dressing up and kind of doing those things. And so as long as we enjoy all those things, I think it's important that, when you go on vacation and as a family, you establish like, hey, what's something that you want to do that's fun beyond just kind of being on vacation, sitting at the pool. But it's like, hey, what's the one thing you want to do to make sure everybody kind of has their own individual fun? I think that's enjoyable. I think that makes you want to kind of reset, go on vacation, but then come back, but not also feel like you were so far off track to where, you just didn't do anything when you came back. So that's how I maintain what I do when I'm on vacation. That's how I really feel best, is still kind of operating the same way. And again, I don't want a job where I feel like I got to get away from. I want, a business. I want a life to where I feel like it's part of my life. It's not, the only thing in my life, or I can't get away from it. I remember times when I had my gyms where it was like, if I left, I always worried about what would happen when I get back. I don't want anything like that. I always want to be able to, be able to go on vacation. I want to be able to enjoy my family. I want to be able to do those things and not feel pressured to feel like when I get back, everything's going to fall apart, or, when I'm gone, I'm not making any money. And so that's why this is such an important thing for me. So again, the three things that I really focus on: number one is renewing my mindset. Number two, focusing on being creative and innovative. And then number three is just maintaining the habits that I already have set. And then four, scheduling fun and making sure that there's a time to have fun and everybody gets to do one thing that they really want to do. And then I think that just brings more unity while we're on vacation. So I want to thank you guys for joining today. If you have any questions, or maybe you want to send me, hey, what do you do when you go on vacation, or what do you do when you do this? Just email me like this gentleman did, Jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. Hope you guys have an amazing day and an amazing week. Let's get it.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.